Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a video. Um, I was just thinking last night about the Satanic Panic and how it's kind of relevant to today's modern witch hunts. Seems to be a lot of stuff going on right now with banning people off these various platforms that these billionaires own, including certain politicians, which I do not agree with at all. Now, there is some room to interpret certain politicians' statements as certain things one way or the other, but I think the certain said politician statements are too vague to actually call them that, and, calling them out or, putting a little thing on there. If they actually did incite things, then it's up to interpretation at this point. But banning them, suspending their account, maybe, fine, but banning them from platforms, I think it's incredibly dangerous. It's an incredibly dangerous time we're living in as far as censorship and corporate power. And ironically, the right wing is talking about the unabashed corporate power that is becoming in place in our country and our world a little bit more than some of the left are. With a few exceptions like Glenn Greenwald or Matt Taibbi or, somewhat Jimmy Dore. So it's a very dangerous time. But I was just thinking that a lot of how the media reacts to different things that have happened in the last 5 to 10 years and how people have reacted does remind me of the Satanic Panic. And if you people don't know what the Satanic Panic is, it was a thing that happened in, probably the, early 80s through the early 90s. A lot of Christian conservatives would get together and accuse certain people of being Satanists and, of child abuse and all this stuff. And it never came to pass that any of these people were, or many of these people were not convicted at all. Or if they were, evidence came to light that they were not guilty. It's basically like a modern day witch hunt, which we're having right now in many ways. So I thought of this example that a couple of years ago I read on, and these media sources are so biased in such a flagrant way that I can't trust anything anymore, and that's why at this point I'm having a hard time trusting even, any of the more centrist media that's out there. So this was on Daily Beast about, one of these, the shooter of the month or whatever, it became like, there was a school, there's some school shooter or some guy that would get in trouble for something, usually lonely younger white male that would get busted for this, like Elia Roger, and I forgot this guy. I think he was from Iowa, this other guy. So they had tried to link him to neo-Nazis. It seemed like they were trying to really do that in a active way. So he did not wear any kind of swastikas that I know of or anything like that, but they had this, he had an Iron Cross patch or something. Now, anybody that knows about the Iron Cross, the history of it, knows that it's not a Nazi symbol. And, you had West Coast Choppers show with, shirts with Iron Crosses, just 5 years before it was a hot thing, people would wear that. They would sell that at JCPenney and fucking Walmart. So I was just like, okay, this is, the media is just totally wrong about this. I mean, this guy is a nut job, obviously. Is he really a neo-Nazi? It was kind of cool for the media to lump everybody together and, not apply any nuance. I'm not saying any of these shooters weren't racist or anything like that, or even neo-Nazis, but it was just it was a race to, pun intended, I guess. Pun unintended. It was a race to link people to Nazi beliefs without any evidence. And that's happening a lot right now. There's a lot of dangerous things happening. So a lot of people's channels were getting banned off of YouTube, and then the recent Parlor thing, which I was hesitant about Parlor because I think the Mercers have something to do with it, and I don't want any kind of tech platform that I'm on supported by these billionaires, whether of the right or the left. So I'm already on one right now doing this video, but but what they did to Parlor is pretty stupid and ridiculous, as far as just trying to. But Parlor should have been better prepared. I mean, they should have their own app they provide. I know BitChute doesn't really have an app, but their web servers are another country, and I think it's England actually. But a lot of alt tech is getting attacked, for various reasons. Maybe some of it's righteous indignation against it, but some of it definitely is not. And basically, a lot of these companies are default government because they get government contracts. They work with intelligence agencies. The list goes on. So basically, it is censorship if they have a virtual monopoly over content on the internet. And it doesn't mean small websites can't run their own videos or, have your own platforms. So it's a very dangerous time with these billionaires consolidating their power. And they're consolidating their power because, they're against Trump. They must be good. So people are just bootlicking these fucking, basically corporate fascists. I don't think you should bootlick Donald Trump or these billionaires. So I guess I'm just crazy, right? Because I'm not fucking falling for the bootlicking Democrat trap. So, anyways, what was I saying about the Satanic Panic? So you're going to accuse people of this and that. The so-called social justice warriors. I mean, it's basically like the Satanic Panic. This indignation that you have towards others for having a certain belief, and then straw manning their beliefs and saying that they believe this and they want this and they don't want this. It's just like accusing people of these devilish things in their own home that they never probably did. So it's a really scary time. But it reminds me of the Satanic Panic. But this time it's a lot of it's from the left, towards people that are ostensibly right, or they're just, against the system itself, like me. I'm not on the right, but at the same time, at this point in time, I'd probably call myself a libertarian. Kind of like 10 years ago, where I was definitely less on the left than I was, subsequent years. I'd say I'm probably a libertarian at this point. Left-leaning libertarian, like I used to say. I still believe in some safety nets and so forth, and I do believe in regulation of the rich and stuff. But the irony is, a lot of the Democrats are just and the left are just like, oh, go Twitter, go YouTube, go Facebook, go Amazon. There's great. Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness, even though it's owned by a billionaire, Jeff Bezos. Oh, they're just bootlicking, as the left would say. They're bootlicking. So it's stupid. But all these attacks, it started with Gamergate. It's like there are probably a lot of sexist fucking, scourges of the world involved in that. But there were people with some legitimate points. Then it became the Trumpers because, there are a lot of racists in the Trump, into the Trump thing, but some of them are legitimate people that just didn't like the way the country was going with neoliberalism, globalization, and a lot of other stuff. So we have to attack all these people as being one monolith when they're not, and it's like a witch hunt. If you have the wrong beliefs, you're an unworthy person of giving any kind of platform or voice, or you don't even want to. These people don't even want to engage in intelligent debate with these people. That's I think back to William F. Buckley, and I probably disagree with like about 70% of his, or 80% of his beliefs probably about things. He later became actually more libertarian and more like he was pro pot decriminalization, legalization. Um, he actually got kind of interesting in his older age, but earlier on, he would have these debates with these people on public, on national television, not public television, but on firing line, and maybe there was and even back then there wasn't like what Chomsky talks about, like with the it's only within this range, because he had like actually I think he had Chomsky on, and he had all these people that were just like very different, especially in the '60s and the '70s. Um, he had a lot of we need that kind of thing, but no, these people won't go that route anymore because you're unworthy of giving a voice or a platform to because but what are they hiding? What are these people hiding? Do they not want to debate these people? Do they not want to? The more censorship there is, the more witch hunts there are, the more conspiracy theories there are, and the more pushback there will be. And you're going to see that in the next couple years. You're going to see a lot of, you may see that. I'm not going to say you will, but, you may see a lot more pushback. But back to the Satanic Panic thing, it's like lack of evidence against these people that were supposedly engaging in these crimes. A lot of innocent people got hurt, you know. So you have Ron think, as Orwell called it, you would get rounded up and put in jail because you were, these psychologists in the '80s would convince these kids, basically convince these kids that they were abused when maybe it was someone else that abused them or they were not abused at all. And I listened to a podcast about that, about 8 months ago about the Satanic Panic. It's pretty scary stuff. The fact that people would have this group think in that way is dangerous. And I think we're getting to that time now. And I think that is on the left in many ways. Left. I'm not going to say left because